All right, guys, this is the first time in a while that I've been on here to do a video. Today, I'm going back to the roots. We are going to do a movie review about the brand new Apple TV or Apple TV Plus movie, Still, a Michael J. Fox movie. Now, for anyone who knows me, like really knows me, knows that I've been a Michael J. Fox fan forever, literally since I was a little kid. You know, everyone who also knows me knows that my favorite actor is Michael Keaton. But before Michael Keaton, it was Michael J. Fox. I grew up loving Back to the Future. Um, Marty McFly was my hero. He's who I wanted to be in life. Um, I loved all three of those movies as a kid. I still cherish them. I think Back to the Future 1 is a perfect movie. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Um, and throughout the years, it's easy for me to, I never lost that. In fact, right here at my desk, I am that much of a nerd that I have a Michael J. Fox action figure right on my desk that I record and look at every day. Every time I'm sitting here, every time you see a video, just know that there's a Michael J. Fox figure right off camera. Um, but it's easy for me to say Michael Keaton is my favorite actor, and he is. He is. I love Michael Keaton. But I think part of that is because as I was getting older, Michael J. Fox stepped back from acting because of his disease, Parkinson's disease. And, I never lost my admiration for Fox. I just kind of went elsewhere. And, my favorite movies aside from Back to the Future as a kid were Batman and Beetlejuice. And when I found out that when I was old enough to realize that they were the same person, I was like, oh, well, Michael Keaton is my favorite actor. Um, so here recently, especially in the last year or so, since his newest book came out, and I've read every book that he's written. I think he's written four now. Um, and when his newest book came out, I read it. I've kind of been back into hey, I really miss Michael J. Fox. And I went into a deep binge. I binged almost every single film of his, which isn't a ton. I think it's like 35 or 30, close to 40 movies. And I went, and so a lot of them I had not seen. I had seen Back to the Future, I had seen Teen Wolf, I had seen Mars Attacks, the basics, the Frighteners, Stuart Little, Homeward Bound. But I hadn't seen things like Casualties of War with him and Sean Penn, which I thought was the hidden gem. And if not that, then also the one with him and Joan Jett, and now I can't even think of the name, Light of Day or something, I think is what it's called. Fantastic films, hidden gems from Fox that no one really ever talks about. So when they announced that they were going to do Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, which is a documentary on his life, and he's involved. It's him. He's the one making it. It's not, a third party documentary. It's actually his documentary. I was excited. I knew it was going to be. I kind of knew it was going to be, and I just knew I was going to cry. I was like, "This is going to be sad, and I'm going to bawl," because I cry at everything now. Um, so with that said, it came out today, May 12th. Still is a beautiful, inspirational documentary about Fox's incredible journey. Um, and it's unlike the usual type of documentary that you would see done by Hollywood. I mean, um, you see him start from struggling young actor to Hollywood uh, icon to what some people would call a hero. For all the work he's done in the Parkinson's community. I Side note, I met Michael J. Fox. I had the opportunity in 2018 to meet him um, in Boston, Massachusetts. I went up there and I met him at a con, a Comic Con, and I knew I was already going to the con before they announced Michael Fox was going to be there, and when they announced it, I knew I had to pay whatever money it was to meet him because I knew it was probably a once in a lifetime opportunity. Um, so I did, and I met him. He was there. I was in line, and I wasn't. I've never been starstruck. Knock on wood, but it's probably the closest thing I've ever been to it because he was my hero. And I walked up to him. He's sitting in a chair. I walked up to him. I'm gonna cry just talking about it. And I looked him. He was doped up. He was on his Parkinson's meds, and so he could kind of not be. He was still, no pun intended. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, how are you, Mr. Fox?" And he didn't immediately acknowledge me, but then he kind of like snapped out of him. It's like, "Oh, I'm doing pictures. I'm supposed to be alert." So then he looked at me and was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And I put my arm, around. I stood behind the chair, put my arm around the back, just to touch the back of him. We took the picture, and when it was over, I looked at him and I said, as a child, you were my hero for Back to the Future. As an adult, you're still my hero. And he said, "Thank you so much." And I walked off, and that was the end. Um, so long story short, this documentary was always something that I was going to watch and love. Um, and it's done very uniquely and kind of fun. You see the modern day, present day Fox, uh, you know, sitting in a chair talking to the interviewer. And all the while, as he's telling his stories and interviews, modern day interviews, you see reenactments, but not just reenact. You get the little bit of like reenactment actors like you would on like those crime shows, but they've used Michael J. Fox's films and TV shows to intertwine in the reenactment. So something that maybe wasn't even connected with that movie or with that show is showing up as he's describing something. So if he's like, "I just woke up out of bed," and then you see a clip of some movie where Michael J. Fox is like jumping up out of bed, so it's kind of cool to kind of like actually see him do the thing that he's describing in the interview, which I thought was very neat and different, rather than just show pictures or show some random actor pretending to be him that's not him. I thought that was very creative and very well done. It's the whole story is told with humor and grace. It was, it wasn't, it was more funny than it was sad. The course watching him and seeing him struggle is sad. There's a part where he falls. He's walking outside and he falls down. A lady speaks to him. She goes, "Are you Michael J. Fox?" And he says, "Yeah." And she says, "How are you?" And he's like, "I'm good, thanks." And then he stumbles right after. The poor girl. He stumbles right after passing her and falls to the ground. And uh, the guy that's there with him, the coach, helps him back to his feet. And the girl stands there and makes sure he's all right. And she says, "Are you all right?" He says, "I'm fine." And she says, "It was nice meeting you." And he says, "It's nice meeting you. You swept me off my feet." So things like that, he's always been able to keep a sense of humor. He's always looked at this disease on a very positive note, which I think is what makes him, that hero trait. Um, but also things like that is what keeps this documentary lighthearted and not something that you're going to cry about. If anyone was going to cry during this, I feel like it would have been me. I did not cry. I did not shed a tear during this documentary, but I thought it was very well done for anyone my age or even a little older than me, maybe a hair younger than me, but for most part, my age or a little older, that Michael J. Fox was a cultural icon. He was the biggest star in the world at one point. I hate to sound like an old person, but today's kids don't realize that. They didn't live through it. They don't know that. And they can't really comprehend that. They know Back to the Future, maybe. They know Stuart Little, but they're like, "Oh, that's the guy from Back to the Future. Oh, that's the guy that was the voice of that mouse." They don't understand how much of an impact and how important he was in Hollywood. Back to the Future is still one of the greatest movies ever made. It's in my top five. It's my number two movie of all time. It's in my top five of all time. Um, Still is a ironically a journey that takes you back in time and lets you relive those moments and those feelings and that Michael J. Fox mania. Um, you know, today's world, there aren't too many people you can look up to, too many quote unquote heroes. I mean, you have the police department, the fire department, the military. Those of course are heroes. They are important heroes. They are the real heroes. Um, what is a hero? People's parents can be a hero. People's family members that have been through a lot of things can be a hero. And I think Michael J. Fox is in that category. He is a hero, and this documentary does a great job providing a great tribute to him. So, with that said, I'm going to wrap this video up short and sweet. I just wanted to give my review real quick. Still a Michael J. Fox movie. I give it 4 stars. I really thought this was going to be maybe my first top, 10 out of 10, 5-star movie of the year because we haven't had that yet, which maybe I'll do a whole nother video. Last year, 2022 was an epic year for movies. By this point last year, we already had our Oscar winning movie. We already had Top Gun Maverick. We already had my personal, The Black Phone, my personal movie of the year last year. Last year was just cranking out hit after hit after hit. This year, to me, at least for me personally, we don't have a 10 out of 10 movie. We don't have the movie of the year. I don't think we've seen it yet. Is it coming? I think so. Possibly in June. Don't know. But I thought this might be it. It isn't, but it's damn close. Um, and I think if it had pulled at my heartstrings just a little bit, if it had made me cry, without question, this would have been the first 10 out of 10 for the year. But for now, 4 stars, out of 10, I'd say 8.5 out of 10. Very well done, very fitting, very great tribute to a very great actor. If you have Apple TV Plus, please check this out. If you have ever been a fan of Michael J. Fox ever, please check this out. Even if you only know Back to the Future, you younger people, check this out. You might learn something. That's it for now, guys. Join me next time, and remember, Matt knows best.